It was the winter of 2009 when my friend Eric and I decided to escape the chaos of college life for a weekend at his family's remote cabin in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Nestled deep in the woods, miles from the nearest town, the cabin was a quiet retreat, accessible only by a narrow, snow-covered road. We arrived just before dusk, unloaded our supplies, and settled in for the night. The cabin was old but cozy, warmed by a wood-burning stove, and the evening passed peacefully with card games and stories. By midnight, we were asleep, unaware of the terror that would soon awaken us. Around 3 a.m., I jolted awake to the sound of tapping on the window. At first, I thought it was a tree branch scraping against the glass, but the rhythm was too deliberate. 3 taps, a pause, then 3 more. My heart raced as I sat up, listening. The sound came again. I glanced at Eric, who was still asleep, and hesitated before slipping out of bed and creeping to the window. The moonlight illuminated the snow outside, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. At first, I saw nothing. Then, just beyond the tree line, I spotted a figure standing perfectly still, facing the cabin. It was too far away to make out any features, but its silhouette was unmistakably human. A chill ran through me, deeper than the winter cold. The figure didn't move, didn't react to the freezing temperatures. It just stood there, watching. I backed away and shook Eric awake. He grumbled at first, but the fear in my eyes silenced him. I whispered what I'd seen, and together we returned to the window. The figure was gone. We spent the rest of the night on edge, listening for any sound outside. By morning, we tried to convince ourselves it had been a trick of the light or our imaginations. Determined not to let the incident ruin our trip, we decided to go for a hike later that day. As we trudged through the snow, we stumbled upon something that made our blood run cold: footprints. They led from the woods straight to the cabin, stopping just beneath the window where I'd heard the tapping. But what was even more unsettling was that there were no footprints leading away. We followed the trail back into the woods, our nerves frayed. The prints continued deeper and deeper until they abruptly ended in the middle of a clearing. There was no sign of where the person had gone, no tracks, no disturbance in the snow, nothing. Just an empty expanse. That was enough for us. We rushed back to the cabin, packed our things, and left without looking back. As we drove down the narrow road, I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. There, at the edge of the woods, stood the figure, watching us leave. To this day, I have no explanation for what we saw. Eric and I never spoke of that weekend again, and we've never returned to the cabin. But every winter, when the wind howls outside my window, I remember those 3 taps and the figure standing in the snow. And I wonder if it's still out there, waiting.